Yo, what up, friends?
You know, if you look at no matter who you look at in the world today, everybody got some kind of closet. I think on some things, Oscar just got caught, or a lot of other people don't get caught. Don't get caught.
Right.
I mean, but then again, you know, all the stuff going back and forth with all the stuff going back and forth. You know, with Eddie Hearns and Dana White, and I mean, you know, it's so much stuff that's just not fair for the fighters themselves. Because if these promoters and stuff are trying to fight each other, all they're doing is making it harder for the fighter. By trying to change the Ali Act protected the fighters. So anytime you want to go take something apart, rearrange it for your benefit, you ain't got the fighters in consideration. Because it was made to protect the fighters, opening book for the fighters, not to be screwed in some cases they were accused of, being screwed by this, that. And to start taking that back away, it makes you question the person trying to take it. I mean, common sense, it should. Why do you need to change it if you ain't got something to hide? Why you got to change it here if you don't want to hide what you're going to do wrong against the fighter? Because in the end of the time, the end of the business deal that you're going to do there, it is against the fighter. It's not against the promoter. It's against the fighter. And I think instead of saying, and I think some of the things that maybe Oscar De La Hoya, I know Roy Jones Jr. made comments about it. He's against it. But you got to understand, they were fighters. They were former champions. They know what can go wrong. They know what can be hidden.
Right.
You know, I'm not sure if Dana White was ever a boxer in his life. I don't know. He fights in the streets. I mean, I know. And he knows how to talk. I mean, he's got a mouth on him.
Sure.
And he knows how to talk. He knows how to promote. I don't think he's good promoter Jake Paul by any means, but he knows how to run a mouth. And then he's got what money he's got. He's got more money behind him on Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? So, I think with Dana, more money's talking than he is looking at the real fighters. But then again, no matter what he's done with UFC, and you definitely got to take your hat off of him for UFC. Every one of them fighters complained about him. They all like him. Look, Dana is a type guy you can't help but like. I mean, he's just a character. He's a character. And all the people we talking about today, they're all characters. I mean, Oscar, he's a character. Oscar Slapback Thursday. I mean, I think it's a fun. I mean, I love watching his Thursday Slapback. Because it's funny. But then again, he owns whatever you throw at it. If it's true, he owns it. That's one thing. He don't run from it. He don't try to cover it up. When questions asked him about the stockings and all, he could listen. But then again, you got to ask yourself, how is Paul answer on the podcast? He taking call. He calls it out, and I'm very, 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 very thankful he's that honest. That's why, like I say, he's somebody else. Country boxers calling him. Hell, I'm calling anybody. Anybody come.
Hey, let's go. Let me ask you more about the Muhammad Ali Act, though, because as you mentioned, Dana White, very good friends with President Donald Trump. This bill passed by a voice vote. It's supposed to go into the Senate. They're trying to obviously revive, is what's called the revival of the Reform Act. The Reform Act, for everybody that doesn't know, just to update you in case you're watching, wondering what we're talking about, Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act was enacted in 2000. Essentially, it had three main priorities: protect the rights and welfare of boxers, assist state boxing commissions in their oversight, and promote honorable competition in boxing. So admirable traits indeed, and things that you would be looking at. So what is the Revival Act, and why has this been brought? The Revival Act, proposed by Brian Jack and Sharice Davids, one Republican, one Democrat, in July of 2025, would allow for the creation, and this goes back to what Jimmy was talking about Turki Alalshikh coming into boxing, and also Dana White, and how they also did the Zuffa boxing and all of these different organizations starting to emerge. This would allow for a unified boxing organization, which would serve as an alternative to the four major organizations we have right now, which would allow TKO's, new boxing companies to emerge and to gain more weight into the sport, which can be looked at as maybe a little bit of that underhandedness that we talked about, the kind of, maybe using manipulation in other ways in order to gain the things that you're trying to gain. And we know that Dana White and Turki Alalshikh and TKO have put a lot into trying to change the combat sports, even when it comes to UFC, as you talked about, and trying to hold fighters' pay down. So in this Revival Act, they say that the minimum compensation for professional boxers would go up to $200 per round, and there would be other types of minimums in health insurance, things like that, that say that this is going to be more beneficial for boxing. So I know you already said you don't really agree with the revival of the act itself. What do you say to those last facts that would be enacted?
Well, if you pay the fighters right and they build up and get the right money for what the boxing has paid over the years that Bob Arum's paid them, and back in the time, like now, it's tight money that look at Anthony Joshua when he walked away with Jake Paul, one fight, what, 98 million?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So he can't afford his own insurance.
Right, that's true.
You see what I'm saying? And when the money, so why are you going to cut money down and trust? What do you rather do? Pay your insurance yourself, or trust me to pay your insurance for you?
Now, what about when you extend that to boxers that don't make that money, that aren't on that level, that are, fight maybe here at Country Box and can't afford, insurance? What would you say to those fighters?
Well, listen, I think anything could be changed, but you got to understand the way they're changing it right now, they're upgrading it right now. It profits Dana White and profits
right.
Turki. It's not about profiting the fighter. It's not. In other words, how are they going to get the extra money to pay for that? They're cutting the fighter's purse. So if you're going to cut the fighter's purse, why not let them pay for themselves? Now, I do agree that some of the smaller fighters that don't really make good money and then get hurt and this and that, absolutely. As is Joe McClellan and stuff, absolutely. Because Joe McClellan, prime example. He was champion in Nigel Benn. In that fight with Nigel Benn, he got brain damage, and he struggles every month. But he got a lovely sister that's took care of him. But it's a fight. It's a fight because insurance money runs out. But insurance money will run out with Dana White. What he's doing also, there's always going to be a cap on anything. Life has a cap on it. So I'm just saying what's happened is Dana White is taking the money out of the promoter, or Turkish, or his own money. But they're talking about taking that money from the fighters. How are they taking it? They're taking it from the fighter's purse. They're capped the fighter's purse. And let me use your money to buy you some insurance. I want to be a good guy. Let me get you some insurance.
Yeah, and you're right about one thing. It does seem also kind of controversial that it's coming from Dana White and them, who have held UFC salaries down for a long time.
And they all complain about it. Every big UFC fighter out there, somewhere along the line, whether they take it back or what, has complained. From Conor McGregor, from Ronda Rousey, all of them has complained about it. All of them. Even his biggest moneymaker has complained. So what's going to make it different now?
And why would you, as Dana White, want to take care of boxers before you take care of your own fighters?
And you got to understand, Ronda Rousey said it herself. Dana's an employee now. Dana doesn't use it.
Yes.
So Dana wouldn't do that when he owned the thing himself.
Right.
With the brothers. Why is he going to do it when he's just an employee of somebody? But he don't have the last say so.
That's a really good point.
He just run in front for them. And Turkish. So what's happened is back in the day, you can say what you want to about Bob Arum. Say what you want to about Don King. Say what you want to about the late Dan Duva. They put on some hell of a fights. They put on real fights, competitive, and them guys made money. I know because I had several champions on Don King and Bob Arum and Dan Duva back in the day. They paid money. They can say what they want to say. But then again, look at like Mike Tyson would say this here about Don King and always here. But still, look at the millions and millions of dollars that Mike Tyson made with Don King. But also look at the money too. I mean, you know what? Everything's got a double-edged sword to it. But then again, Don King paid him more money than any other promoter ever paid him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let me get your thoughts on this real quick, because this is exactly what you're saying here. In December, top-ranked founder and CEO Bob Arum, obviously you know Bob very well, he wrote his concerns to the House Committee on Education and Workforce, and he said, as presently drafted, the conditions required do not include protections for fighters that were set forth in the original act, and do not prohibit the UBO, this new organization that would come about, from entering into, and this is what you said, coercive contracts with the fighters, in which it would be not required to provide financial disclosures and essentially, a firewall between the managers and the promoters, so that they would be able to possibly do those kind of con actions that you said maybe they might be trying to look at.
Exactly, and that's why I look at, like, say, why, if your intention is to be good, then why you got to hide something? If you're not setting up something for you to be able to make more money yourself, and look, it's like, I have to go back when I first read it and see what they're doing. I have to go back to the movie Major Payne. When in the army, when he got shot in the leg.
Yeah, damn.
About his leg being hurt from shot, and so the major took and broke his thumb so he wouldn't think about his leg no more. I think that's what I look at this like, because what happened is, now, like I say, if Dana and Turkish got together and Dana's going to be the good guy, they're going to put an escrow fund over here and say, look, we're going to buy insurance for fighters. Fighters that fights under my promotion with us, this is what we're doing for coming to us. And that's what he's saying, but he's saying it with your money.
Right.
He's not saying it with his own money. And he can hide what he's going to do. So that I have to say, I mean, where is there a conflict of interest? It's not there right now. If you're going to try to be a promoter, a belt holder, I mean, you're going to supply the belt, you're going to be manager, you're going to do everything. So what is it? It keeps one person or one company from destroying a man's life. You can cut him off completely. Cut him totally, to where even the manager has no say so. What they're doing, they're making the promoter the most powerful person, but they always fought over against Don King and Bob Arum. How much, they always fought over that and try to sue, and you're stealing this, you're doing that. But God, now you're really getting a path to steal if you want to. You're really getting a shield, you say a firewall, to protect your nonsense when, as you line your pockets.
Right.
You line your pockets more and more. It's not. I don't think it's fair. I think that I'm 100% behind with Roy Jones Jr. I'm 100% behind Oscar De La Hoya. And like I say, I know when you say something, Dana flies back, and fuck this and fuck that. But when people take an action like that, I've learned over the 50 years of my life in any kind of entertainment, they got something to hide. Because if somebody is concerned about a well-being, why are you saying fuck that? Why are you saying that? Because when somebody else is saying something against that, it's only because they're not agreeing to what you want to do your way.
Right.
And I think Dana shows that. I think it shows that, and I think Dana's an intelligent guy. He proved that, but I think that he don't really think for the fighters like he should. Because he's got fighters for years now that says the same thing. And all you got to do is listen to every one of them. Now, the only reason, when it's immaculate how he get this fighter come over there to him and kind of be and come over there, well, okay. Well, it ain't because, man, I love Dana White. Let me run over quick. 15 million runs you over there really quick.
Yeah, no.
Well, I'm gonna love Dana to death. Right now, I'm gonna kiss his ass. He's gonna give me $15 million. That's the mentality of a man. That's the mentality of a person, or a human being in survival mode. So if I could see, why do they want to fight for anybody else? Oscar, Jimmy, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody else is already offering 15 million more than they ever made anyway.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what each fighter works for, is the highest payday.
Right.
That's what they work for. And I think that the business in boxing is so big. I feel like everybody should just love the art of boxing, because boxing is an art. I
Sweet
think it should,
science.
yeah, just love the bot of arts of art. Just love the boxing side of it, and help everybody get and achieve. If you're good enough to be a champion, help anybody become that champion. Be a part of it. Be a part of the solution and not part of the problem. And I think that's what we got going on a lot of them in boxing right now. And it's sad because I think right now, if everybody sort of looked at each other and worked a little bit together, and it ain't the fighters fighting each other, it's promoters fighting each other. It's just it's crazy. And but they're all doing it with money. And right now, uh, I'm knowing, I know I probably get beat over this, but it's like in the old days, like a dick contest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
got the dick? I think that's what they're trying to do. Which instead
Right.
of dick is money. Who's
Right.
got the most money?
Who's got the longest money? Yeah, we got the funds.
Yeah, who's got the longest money? I think that's what it's at. But I'm not. That's just my thoughts. I'm not saying it's in my opinion. But if you really sit back and look, that's what everybody's showing you. It's about the money. It's about I stole this guy from Eddie Hearns, and you know, and Eddie Hearns in his own right, he's a character. I mean, you know, I enjoy listening to Eddie Hearns. I mean, you know, but I don't think it's a promoter out there that I don't have respect for, because promoting is a hard job.
Mhm.
I think it's a hard job, and you got some promoters, man, that don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about selling tickets, you know, just because they love it and they got the money to do it. You got some promoters out there that don't have that type money, that just love the game enough to try to keep it going and do something for it, you know, and they struggle. But I think if you want to take and buy insurance for a fighter with their own money,
Mm.
help them advance their career, and they can buy their own insurance.
Right.
Take that money you cut from a fighter, add it to a fighter, add it to the B side fighters, what they can afford to get them. Because the A side fighters, they get paid pretty good today. The money's totally different today. So they get paid. But what about the B side fighters who come and you use these guys as a stepping stone to get to your championship fight?
Right.
When you know they'll never get there. Them are not the guys he's talking about. He ain't talking about helping them. He's talking about cutting people's money that makes the big money.
Mm.
That's but then he goes does some things like that with Conor being always big signing bonus and this and that, you know, for 3 fights. Now I ain't know. To me, I look at that as a fool move, because now they've been down about 3 fights. Well, that shows you right there. Being in the game 50 years, when somebody's cutting you back like that for 3 fights, and hey, I give you 15 million for 3 fights. Well, that means you just looking to get inside that vault, get all the money you can, and get out, because in 3 fights.
Mm.
Because you know, any fighter, I'm not signing you to fight 3 fights with me, and then on your 4th fight you go to somebody else and make money with them too. When I put the
Right.
So
Mhm.
to me, the balance is not there, and that's just me, man. You know, and keep in mind when I say all that, I'm an 8th grade dropout, so I'm not like these other guys. They got college education on. I'm a street person. I'm an 8th grade dropout, and had to learn things on my own. So you know, so I'm sure they know more than me, and I bow to them. They probably do, but I have to look at what common sense is. And I was blessed with common sense.
Well, what I can say is that if anyone else had dropped out in 8th grade, they would be lucky and blessed to have ended up where you did, and because of your hard work, because of your grind, because of your hustle, because of your love for the sport and the way that you take care of your business, take care of your fighters, so on and so forth, that has allowed you to be able to progress. And as well, the knowledge that you got from people like Don King and things like that, when your partnerships and fighters that you've worked with, all the legendary fighters. So 8th grade dropout or not, I know that, you know, I'm proud of you. And I know you're proud of yourself, and I know your whole family is proud of you. And we thank you here in Nashville.
Subscribe on YouTube at Ball and Buds for sports and entertainment.